going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, episode 3 of the Golden Bachelorette of Joan's journey to find love is here, and we're here to talk about it. Before we jump into it, though, if you could, just hit that like and subscribe button down there for more Golden Bachelorette, Bachelor Nation content throughout this season and future seasons as well. Got a bunch of other stuff on the channel as well, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button down there to stay up to date with all the content on the channel. So we jump into the cold open. It's Joan saying later in the episode that she doesn't know if she ever will be ready to have love in her life. And it looks like it's at the cocktail party right before. That's why I say later on in the episode. But we jump back to what the beginning of the episode is. All the guys are super tired. There's some debate over the guys just grazing on food, not cooking. That Pascal's still not doing his laundry or not liking to clean. Sounds like mainly Pascal, as he admits he is high maintenance. But Jesse comes in. There's 2 one-on-one dates this week and a competitive group date. He says Pascal gets the first one-on-one date. Joan shows up in a nice red, I think it was a Porsche, could be wrong, not that big of a car guy, but I think it was a Porsche for the date. They pull up to a private jet to jet off to Vegas. Viva Las Vegas, baby. They get off the jet in Vegas, get to the limo, and go over to the Paris hotel. They go to a private room with a pianist, some food, pick out their outfits for the night. Back at the house, Charles, Elle, and Gerry go to the store to get the guys some stuff to help with their sleep. Get some melatonin, some earplugs, looks like some comfy pajamas, eye mask, other stuff to make the guys feel comfortable and sleep better for Joan, as Charles L. says. Back in Vegas, Wayne Newton comes in the room, sings them a song as they dance around the room after they picked out their outfits for the night. Charles L. and Gerry get back, give the guys their sleeping gear, sleeping medication, mask, all that, and Charles L. Then when we get back from that commercial right after that, Charles L. was thinking back to his wife and why and how everything happened, and he talks to Guy, since Guy is an ER doctor, and tells him everything that happened. And back when everything happened with his wife, there was a point that I guess he saw some blood coming from her mouth, and he had some questions and never knew where it was coming from. And Guy says how, she probably bit her tongue when she fell, and Charles is like, oh, wow, thank you, and thanks him. And Guy tells him to stop dwelling on the why, you don't need to think about that. And I was emotional this whole scene. Charles L. opening himself up to all of us and being vulnerable and trying to move on and obviously remember his late wife and their beautiful relationship, but then trying to open himself up to have someone else in his life again. And obviously been holding that in for a long time, it seems like. So I'm glad he was able to open up, and Guy was able to be there to help him through that. We jump back to Vegas as Joan and Pascal show up to their dinner portion. Pascal opens up about his upbringing and how tough he had it growing up and his opportunity to move to America and make something for himself. Back at the house, though, the group date card comes. Chuck, Gil, Dan, Charles, L, CK, Greg, Guy, Kim, Jordan, Mark, and Keith are all going on the date. So that means Jonathan gets the one-on-one date. He's actually kind of nervous, kind of like a double-edged sword getting the one-on-one date. He's worried if things don't go well. Obviously, he's vulnerable, he's emotional, and he doesn't get that rose at the end of the night, then he's going home. Back in Vegas, though, Joan and Pascal get on the high roller, and she gives him the rose to end the night. Then the next day, the group date, the guys show up at a football field. Eric Dickerson, Andre Reed show up, so they're like, all right, we're for sure playing football. They're actually playing kickball, though. Probably not the smartest insurance liability idea to have a bunch of guys in their late 50s to early 70s running around a football field hitting each other. So we'll go with kickball, and it's called the Quaker Oats Kickball. Got to get that sponsor in there, that's right. So the guys are stretching, doing some practice kicks, throwing each other out, and oh boy, I hope no one gets hit in the head here. The winners get to go to the after party, losers back to the mansion, and I gotta say the guys are getting after it. Mark is hilarious, running around hugging everyone, laying on the base pads. He actually does score the first run. A couple tweaked hamstrings and quads never hurt anyone, right, guys? So poor Charles L. He says he barely understands rules, never played baseball or anything, but the guys pump him up to just kick the ball. He ends up getting an infield single and drives in the run. The blue team wins it with a late play at the plate to get the red team out. Jump into the after party. Jordan is able to steal a kiss. Apparently, doctor wanted to get Kim an x-ray on his shoulder, but he was good. He wanted to go to the after party. Charles L. tells Joan about, obviously not that serious if they let him go to the after party then, so that's good for Kim. Charles L. tells Joan about his conversation with Guy yesterday and how he had been carrying that for a long time. Joan had then got a call from home that her mom, her 92-year-old mom, had been sick for a couple days, thinks it's a respiratory thing, but she's doing her best trying to navigate everything at home and trying to find love here. Joan tells Gerry that she loves having him around, and she opened up to him about her mom being sick at home, and he said that he'd have her mom in his prayers. At the end of the after party, gives Gil the rose after he had opened up about adopting his daughter at 6 months. She's 17 now, and how much he loves her. But as Joan is walking away from the group date, concerns at home are kind of preoccupying her mind, as she says. Next day, shout out to Joan, got the guys massages, get them feeling better after that rough game of kickball. So we jump forward to Jonathan's one-on-one. They're on horseback riding, and apparently Joan was a little nervous because she got bit by a horse a couple years ago. Apparently Jonathan never rode a horse either, so I hope this goes well for them. Things do seem to go well on the horseback ride, and then back at the house, Kim wrote a song for the group to sing, wants everyone to sing it to Joan. Some of the guys are not as enthused about singing the song, and I do feel bad for Kim, just trying to go out there and have some fun with the guys, and the guys are usually up for some fun, as he says, but yeah, not feeling the song apparently. Jonathan is able to open up with Joan about his divorce, not feeling good enough, and Joan says Jonathan has a calm, comforting presence and tells him that she thinks he's enough, and she gives him the one-on-one date rose. When they were heading back, Joan saw some hawks flying around through the mountains and was thinking about her husband, who, after he had passed, there was a hawk that was always coming around, and her daughters always kept saying that it's dad. And she's obviously also thinking about her mom, who's sick at home. Joan comes to the cocktail party, sits down, and tells the guys how she's feeling. She says how she's committed to opening up and being the vulnerable person that she needs to be. Tells them about missing her family, her mom being sick, and people asking about if she's ready to have love in her life, and if she's ready, doesn't know if she is ever going to be or ever will be. Doesn't mean she doesn't want love, just that she'll always have a part of John with her. The guys are obviously all completely understanding where she's coming from, and most of them, if not all of them, feel the exact same way. That especially the ones that are in her situation that she's had to go through in her life. Chuck pulls Joan right away after that, and Joan says Chuck is a fixer after their conversation, and John, her late husband, was a fixer as well. They had a nice convo and, open up even more. Gerry had wrote Joan a beautiful poem for her mother, and Joan actually did mention here that, today she was feeling better, so that is great news to hear as well. Charles shows Joan a picture of him and his wife. He tells her if she's not ready, don't pressure yourself, let your heart decide. We go outside to the front of the mansion, and Gerry shows up as he steps out of the car in the driveway. What is Gerry doing here? But okay. Jesse goes and gets Joan, says everything's okay, just someone here wants to see you and talk to you. She goes outside, and it's Gerry. She seems excited. He asks how it's going, gives some good advice about opening up and being herself. They played it off like he was asking, with the clip of him asking her if she thought about her person not being here, when it was really just him asking and reminding her that she's on the right path, she'll have success here on this journey. And they were playing it up like him wanting to come back, but it seemed like that they're close, that they're friends, that, he was just coming to offer support. Kim and Guy do sing the song to Joan, so I'm glad someone did sing the song with Kim. Then we jump forward to the rose ceremony. Kim, Greg, and CK unfortunately don't receive a rose and are going home. Guy comes out afterwards to sign off, singing Kim's song that he wrote one last time. Next week looks like a Golden Magic Mike show with Caitlin Bristow coming back to, I assume, help judge. And then it looks like some more connections being formed, which is good for Joan and the guys. And it looks like Chuck might be self-eliminating. So I don't know. Seems like it's going to be an interesting episode next week. And we'll be back to recap it all. But thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.